David, you can hear me?
Yes, I couldn't
Could hear me.
before.
Okay, good. All right. So I think I just connect your audio, Rabbi. Okay. Sorry about that. So anyway, the Rebbe visited the Satmar Rebbe to Menachem Avol to comfort him on the loss of a family member. And when the Rebbe visited, there were a lot of dignitaries there, both Jewish dignitaries and political dignitaries. And the Rebbe sort of commanded the room immediately. And people were very taken by this young Rebbe who just assumed leadership. And one young man ran over to the car as the Rebbe was leaving, and he said to the Rebbe, Lubavitch Rebbe, I'm afraid I am becoming your Chassid. And the Rebbe responded, why didn't you do this out of fear? Could do this out of love. And that's what today is about connecting to our Rebbe with love. There was a chassid of the Alter Rebbe, Shmuel Munkes, who was searching for a path in spirituality and life, and he's famous for his sharing very humorous things, but always with very deep, profound content. So he shared about his first visit to the Alter Rebbe. He said that he traveled to Liozna to see the Alter Rebbe, and it sounds like a very peculiar story, but it has a very deep meaning. When he came to Liozna, all the homes in Liozna were dark, except for the Alter Rebbe. So he knocks on the door, and the Alter Rebbe asks, "Who's here?" He says, "Is a Jew. Isn't this a Jewish home? Can't I come in?" So the Alter Rebbe said, "It's the middle of the night." So Rabbi Shmuel said, "I didn't know that a Rebbe has night." So the Alter Rebbe said, "If you don't leave, I'm going to call my Gentile who was working helping in the home. I'm going to call him." And to this, Rabbi Shmuel responded and said, "Rebbe, mein goy is größer von dein goy. My Gentile assistant is greater than yours." That's the simple story, but the deep meaning in the story. And the surface doesn't make any sense. Why would the Alter Rebbe reject him? He wants to come to the house. The Alter Rebbe would say no. When it's late at night, he needs a place to stay. Maybe a regular person would reject someone at who's not the Alter Rebbe. So what does this mean? So the meaning of this is as follows, as it was explained in Chassidus. Rabbi Shmuel goes to Liozna, and he's looking for something. And where is there light? There's only one house with light. The one house with light is the house of the Alter Rebbe. That's where the light is. So Shmuel comes to the Alter Rebbe. The Alter Rebbe says, "Why are you here now? Isn't it nighttime?" And he says, "That's exactly why I came. I came to look for light." The Alter Rebbe said, "That's not what I can offer you." In other words, it's possible to come and to experience a great revelation, but not to be fully present there as well. It's possible that your soul is touched, but not your goy, not your animal soul, not your persona, not your down-to-earth self. So Alter Rebbe said, here is not just a place where you bring your light. Here is a place where you bring your darkness as well. And therefore, I'm not going to welcome you here. You need to leave. I'm rejecting you because this is not your place. I mean, this is not just a place where you just enjoy light. That's not what this is about. If you want to come all the way, if you want to bring your goy, you want to bring your humanness here, then you're welcome. But if you're just coming here to enjoy and to bask in my inspiration, that's not for you. So Shmuel, realizing the depth of the Alter Rebbe's words, he says, "Rebbe, of course I know about my issues. Of course I know about my darkness. My goy is grosser from dein goy. My animal soul is greater than yours. I know I need help. And with that, Reb Shmuel became a chassid of the Alter Rebbe. So think about the story as we are today's anniversary of the day we became chassidim of the Rebbe, and what that means. As Rebbe said in his very first discourse, that the role of our generation, we're the seventh generation of the Alter Rebbe. The role of our generation is not the same as the Alter Rebbe's generation. It's different, but it's all because of the generation of the Alter Rebbe. Let me explain. We were discussing last week, there were 7 generations of sins that caused Hashem's presence to become more and more hidden after Hashem created the world, beginning from the sin of the tree of knowledge, continuing with the sin of Cain and Enesh, and the sin of the generation of the flood and the Tower of Babel. And then 7 generations of righteous people came to the world, beginning with Abraham, with Abraham, the first generation. And then Moshe Rabbeinu, who was the 7th from Abraham, Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses, he was the one who made the dramatic change in the world and brought the divine presence back to the world after God's presence was hidden after the sin of the tree of knowledge. So our generation is like the generation of Moses. Just like Moshe Rabbeinu, because he was coming with all that was built up and through 7 generations of light. So Avram began this process, and Moshe Rabbeinu brought the divine presence to the physical world in a way that it was manifest. You could see it with your eyes in the tabernacle. You could see it with your eyes at Mount Sinai. So too, the Rebbe said in his first discourse, not because we're so great that we're able to accomplish this, but because we are coming from the generation of the Alter Rebbe and the Mittler Rebbe and Tzemach Tzedek, of the 7 generations of Torah and mitzvahs according to the teachings of Chassidus. Now it's the role of our generation to finish the job and Basi Lagani, to reveal how this world is the garden of Hashem. So in this activity of making the world a garden for Hashem, the key point is that even in the most confusing moments in our life, Hashem wants that as well to be elevated. He wants that itself to be illuminated. Like Reb Shmuel, that the Alter was telling him that it's not just about you being a beneficiary of an experience, it's about bringing yourself completely there. And if I could add, in our generation, it's not only about bringing your whole self there, but also about fulfilling the mission of why Hashem put you in this world. Why were you chosen to be in this special generation, the generation that will greet Mashiach, the last generation of the exile, the first generation of Mashiach? What is Hashem doing by bringing your soul here? What are you going to accomplish? So it begins, of course, with Ksheit Atzmach. The Talmud says you have to beautify yourself before you beautify others. But what is what's the method that Hashem is asking us to illuminate the world with? So the Rebbe is the 7th of the Alter Rebbe. The Alter Rebbe's Chassidus began Liyazhin and then moved to Lubavitch. The Rebbe, in his very first discourse, explained the meaning of the word Lubavitch, and he said that in America, people like statements. So he's going to give a statement as he's assuming the leadership of the Jewish people. What's his statement? There are 3 kinds of love. There's love of the Jewish people, there's love of the Torah, and there's love of Hashem, and they're all really one love. And the city of Lubavitch is called Lubavitch. Lubavitch means to love. Luba means to love. Vitch means to love everyone. That's the path of how to bring illumination to those around us and to inspire. And as we see in the 75 years, today is the 75th anniversary since the Rebbe began his leadership of the Jewish people, we see this path of love, which has flourished in thousands and thousands of Chabad centers, in hundreds and thousands of Jewish people's minds and hearts, and the millions of mitzvahs that are produced since the Rebbe assumed leadership of the Jewish people. And the world has changed in an unrecognizable way to where it was 75 years ago in the Renaissance of the Jewish people throughout the world. So I want to share one story that I heard today from Rabbi Jacks. Very deep story, many layers, but it highlights this point of believing in another person's dignity and loving and cherishing their soul and goodness. Mendel Futafas had an acquaintance who was going together with a school teacher to the train station. They arrived a little bit late for the train. And this young man, although he was late for the train, he didn't want to wait for the next train, who coming another 20 minutes. He ran on to the moving train and he made it. So the teacher thought this wasn't a good idea. He thought he should teach this boy a lesson. But you can't teach someone a lesson in the moment because emotions are high. But he wanted to teach him this lesson. And you also can't teach a person a lesson, said Mendel, by giving them a message that's head on and too strong. It has to be done in a more of an indirect way. So what happened was, later on, boys in class, and the teacher says the following thing. He says, there are two different ways of serving Hashem. There's a regular way of serving Hashem. We're serving Hashem within the confines of what's comfortable for us. Then there is serving Hashem beyond our nature. And that's few and far between. But when we serve Hashem beyond our nature, then that brings the merit of Hashem's miraculous protection, miraculous blessing, not just according to the limits of nature, but something far greater, far beyond, miraculous. But wouldn't it be a waste, the teacher continued, to use Hashem's miraculous protection and to squander that on Hashem saving us unnecessarily? That's a teacher shared. And the teacher was alluding to, in the teacher's mind, to the boy jumping on the train. The boy got the message, but he got something else that the teacher didn't even know. This boy was battling with his hormones, and he had gone in the street and he went to a place that he shouldn't have gone to and seen things he shouldn't have seen. And when the teacher gave this message about serving Hashem beyond your nature and how that brings Hashem's protection, he thought that the teacher was judging him for succumbing to his own humanness and his own nature. And he said to the teacher, you may have seen me make mistake number A, but I saw you shake a woman's hand. Now, Randall didn't share exactly the details of why the teacher had decided to shake a woman's hand. It could be that the teacher could have answered, said Mendel, that there was a special situation where they had to present themselves before this dignitary, and without this being respected or showing respect, it might have had an adverse effect in the Jewish community. The teacher could have also answered that he put on a glove before he went there, so he shouldn't have to have this scenario of touching a woman's hand. He could have said all that, and then all that would have been true. But instead, the teacher said, in Zayn Yenem's Chasrenis, Veste Kemel nicht sein, if you're going to focus on other person's efficiencies, you're never going to be the way you're meant to be. If you look at another person's faults, another person's iniquity, then what about yourself what about you is looking at that? What about you could see that? In order for you to look at soul, you have to look from soul. If you're looking at another person's efficiencies, what part of you are you triggering? What part of you are activating? What part of you are you focusing on? So in order to see another person's goodness, the teacher is telling this boy, you have to use your soul, and that will bring out the best in you. If you see those person's faults, it's not going to bring out your best. As the teacher shared. And it's really helped this boy grow, and Mendel said this made an exponential change in his friend. Similar note, I've shared this story many times, but it's very apropos for tonight. Rabbi Dubrovsky, with Rebbe's emissary in Texas, he shared once how he brought with him a visitor to the Rebbe. He brought one of his congregants, a Jew who had a mining company. And this Jew presented the Rebbe the following question, conundrum, paradox. He says, we mine for diamonds. but on the tip of the drill that we use to find diamonds, there is a diamond. There's nothing that's strong enough to penetrate the Earth's hard core other than a diamond. So we have to use a diamond in order to get to the diamonds. So he asked him, what does this mean? The Rebbe responded that he has a similar paradox in the Rebbe's profession, the Rebbe, and what he does. What's a similar paradox? The Rebbe says, I ask my Chassidim to go around the world and to find a diamond in every Jew. And I hope they use their diamond to find the diamond in others. That's what the Rebbe said. And that's the call of the hour. That's what it means to accept upon ourselves the Rebbe's leadership. It means to think about people in our lives and how to reach them, bring out their best. And only by seeing and believing in the best of others can we bring it out. As Talmud says about, tonight we sanctified the new moon. Talmud says that when witnesses would come to court and they would testify about the new moon before the Jewish court could announce that the new month had begun, the court would cross-examine the witnesses, and they would always ask the witnesses the following question: what way were the horns of the moon facing? What that meant was that when the moon is between the earth and the sun, and because of that, the moon blocks the sun, and therefore the moon is partially darkened. So the crescent of the moon is never facing the sun, because, as the Talmud says, the sun never sees the deficiency of the moon. The sun only sees the good in the moon. The sun never sees the deficiency. Whatever the sun is looking at is always brightened. The sun never sees the darkness in the moon. In a similar way, that the way to illuminate someone is by believing in them, believing who they are. This is something that not only do we, is Rebbe empower us to do, but something we see in the Rebbe's leadership throughout, how all kinds of people came to the Rebbe, and the Rebbe brought out of them their best by seeing in them their best. And this is the call of the hour. This is what tonight is about. And as Rebbe said so many times, this is the time of Mashiach. All that has to be done to bring Mashiach has already been done. And one good thought, one good word, one good action can make a difference. The fact Mashiach hasn't come means there's still something left to do. But one good thought, one good word, one good action could make that change, can make that difference. I want to tell you one more thing, a little personal about myself, how one of the Rebbe's emissaries did that for me. I was studying in Worcester as a child. For some reason, I decided that school wasn't for me. And I chose to skip a whole semester of fourth grade. I don't know why till today that I did that. And it wasn't the funnest thing, being home all day, every day for weeks and months. And when I came back to school eventually, our teacher, Rabbi Pollock, came over to me and he took out a pack of gum, several pieces of gum. In those days in Worcester, Massachusetts, you couldn't find any gum in the store. You never find any gum in the store, kosher gum. For that, you had to go to New York. Rabbi Pollock said to me, this is for you, Maishi. Really, thank you so much. Wow. He's giving me 3 diamonds, 4 diamonds, 3 pieces of gum. Amazing. Wow. Maishi, next class, I want you to ask a question. Ask something. Anything that's on your mind and your heart, just ask a question, make a comment. I want to hear from you in the next class. And he was very sincere. And he meant it. And although I didn't trust him at first, but I realized this guy really cares about me. And that caused me to actually take an interest in my studies, not just during class time. Right? Pollock also had this program called I Love Torah 613. And that was about learning Torah outside of class time. And I think the maximum amount of hours you're allowed to do was 7 hours a week. And I did 7 hours a week because I want to do the best for my teacher who cared so much about me. Every Shabbos, right? Pollock had this program where you came to his house and you played Risk, played games, and I wanted to be there. Our teacher instilled in us that he cares about us and he wants us to succeed and he wants to give us the best thing in the world, the Torah. That made me interested in the Torah. And that's the path, that's the role. And this, till today, I think about that, and that's partially what inspired the school that we began. the elementary school and now the high school, to look at the children in our care and realize and see their potential and how they can grow and be, as the Torah says, Adam Eitz Hasada, persons compared to the fruit of a tree, the tree. And just like a tree, when the tree is very young, as a seed, this tiniest change can make the change for the whole way the tree grows and the way the fruit of that tree grow. So that's how important it is to educate children, because the children are going to grow up and they're going to become bubbies and zadis, grandparents, and the tiniest change for the better when they're so young and they're so tender enhances the way they grow. And as we're approaching the 15th of Shvat this week, it's a call of the hour to think about how to cultivate and bring out the best in each other, and especially in our children, who are compared to the land of Israel. Land of Israel is full of all kinds of treasures. So every Jew is full of treasures. We have to think about how to reach our children, how to bring out their best. May Hashem help bless us all, that we should take the energy of this day and the inspiration of this day and grow Michael from strength to strength until we could see our Rebbe, and we see him tonight. A good Vach, good Yantiv.